Welcome to AP Physics 2. I'm so glad you're taking the course. We've been able to offer this for 3 years now at Pickerington North. The enrollment is such where it's normally a fairly small course, which means we're a tight-knit group. There's going to be a series of clips in this video that are going to give you some information about me, my background, and some information on the course. And I'll put those together and really look forward to having you in class this year. Hi, I'm Doug Forrest. I'm going to be your physics teacher this year. I want to introduce myself, give you a little bit of background about me, and within the first week or so of the course, I'm going to ask you to submit a brief video letting me know a little bit about you, maybe a questionnaire as well. So just to give you a little bit of background, like I said, my name is Doug Forrest. I have taught this is my 27th year in the Pickerington Local School District. It's the only place I've taught full-time. I didn't end up starting out life as a teacher. So I never thought I'd be a teacher until actually a couple years after I graduated college. My undergraduate degree is in molecular genetics, and I worked for a couple years down at a research lab at University of Cincinnati. One of the things about that I didn't like is the lack of interactions with people. The best part of that job that I had for the couple years I had it was actually training incoming graduate students on how to use certain types of equipment and procedures and things like that. So that was really got me thinking about teaching. So I went back, I got my teaching license, and I started teaching in Pickerington way back in the day. I may have had some of your parents, so back in 1994. So after I've been teaching, though, I also worked for about 20 years part-time as a lab technician or as a research microbiologist. So I did that on weekends and in the summers. I think that's actually kind of important because I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of science as it's been taught is not really focused on what's important. And a huge part of understanding science is filtering out what's important from all the rest of the crap. And I can tell you, having worked over 20 years as a scientist, there are some things that are really important which aren't stressed enough. And there are things which we do in science classes in school which are very unrealistic. And I'm going to try to teach you the way that I think would allow you to think scientifically for the rest of your life and understand how science works as best we can. So that's pretty cool. A little bit about my background. I have had season tickets to the Cleveland Browns. Oh my God. I can't do that with the glasses on. Since 1990, I think 1990. It's been a whole lot of losing. I have had them through their 0-16 year. It's been pretty difficult, but you can't say that I'm not loyal, and I will stick by you. If I've stuck by those Cleveland Browns for all those years, I will stick by you as students through thick and thin. The best thing I think about teaching is the students I've had. I've been really blessed to have a lot of great students over the years. And I'm thinking that you're going to be another one of those students. And I really mean that. This isn't the way we necessarily would want to start a school year, but I guarantee you we're going to have a great year. I want to show you some things that are going to be useful tools for you as we go through the course for AP Physics 2. So I went online here. I'm in Google Chrome, and this is a screencast. One of the first things that we're going to have you do is sign up for a Remind feed. So there are instructions for that on my website, which I'll show you in a minute, or you could just text at A9EG7D, which is the code up here, to the number 81010, and that'll get you push notifications. But this is a really great messaging app, and again, I'm going to give you some additional information about that. The other thing you're going to need is a textbook. So this is our current textbook. I actually think it's written pretty well. It's pretty modern. And my hope is that in addition to a hard copy, you're going to have an electronic version. I've been working on that, and it's always difficult to get Pearson, who's the publisher of this, to give us access. There's just a lot of difficulty in communication, but I'm working on it, and my hope is that you'll have both, online and a hard copy. Pardon me. The other thing that we're going to do at times is sometimes we'll do homework online, and the Expert TA is the form for us to do that. I'll give you a code where you can go and log in and um, register for that. That won't be like the very first day of the year, but it's going to be something we want to get signed up for pretty early on. A couple of the really important places you're going to want to go early on are our Google Classroom. So if you type in classroom.google.com, AP Physics 2 Classroom looks like this, and our class code is all lowercase letters VLSAOVU. And that's going to be one of those things where you need to sign up for right away. Because of the remote learning that we're going to be doing for at least part of the year, this is going to be absolutely critical. And I've arranged it so every time I post classwork, it doesn't end up in your stream because that gets really messy that way. I'm going to have sections here. So there's a couple things in introductory materials. For example, there's the remind sign up. So if you look at that, that's the sheet that you'll see. You can change it so you don't get email notifications from me, I think. Or if you want me to change that, we can talk about that in class. Streams here, that's more for conversations and discussion with your classmates, I think. The other place that's going to be probably important more early in the year than later is my website. So Google Classroom is something that you have access to, but your parents don't. So if you and your parents want a quick open site to go to where you could just sort of check what's going on, it's pickphysics.com. So if you type pickphysics all as one word, my website's the first one that should come up. So it looks something like this. There's some information here on the home page, things like that. There should be some things. I'm going to be updating a letter of recommendation request. Each of these is a course that I'll be teaching. So you would go to AP Physics 2, picture from last year. Here's a widget that I put in, which will show you the most recent remind feed if for some reason you can't get that on your phone or don't have a phone. Information for how to sign up for remind is there. And I'll have an updated version of a syllabus here. I don't have that right now, but I will. This is where I'll be placing files. And this is where I'll be replacing links to screencasts also. So usually what I'll do is if I have homework solutions or a video tutorial, I'll upload that to my YouTube channel and I can put it there. And then there'll be a link to Mastering Physics, which is the location that hopefully we'll be able to register for your online version of the book. That open in a new page. And then, the Expert TA login, which I already talked about, will be a link there as well. So really, I think my website's more for parent information than anything else. And Google Classroom is where we're going to be living most of the time. We'll talk about the format of the course a little bit next, and thanks for listening. Welcome back. This part of the AP Physics 2 video is going to talk a little bit about some things that are going to be important for us for the course. I really do appreciate students who are in this course. It's a second-year course. I think the topics are interesting to a lot of students. So we'll start with electrostatics, electric field, and things like that. Get back into circuits, which you probably had a little bit last year at the end, but that was probably when we were all virtual, which definitely is something we need to hit upon in person. Then we'll get into a study of fluids. So a lot of you who might be majoring in biological sciences, that can be really useful to you as well. And then our study will take us through thermodynamics, and that's a part that overlaps a little bit with chemistry, some of the ideal gas law things and so forth. And then we'll head into optics, physical and geometric optics, which is a really fun unit for a lot of kids. It involves things like light, other types of electromagnetic waves like X-rays, things like that. Looks like diffraction, refraction, lenses, mirrors. Like I said, there's a lot of neat activities we can do there. Hopefully by that part of the course we'll be in person all day. And And then finally, there's some modern physics with theory of relativity and quantum physics and things like that. I think this year is going to be a challenge to get through all that content, especially if we're either virtual or in the hybrid model for a lot of parts of the year. So we'll see how it goes. My goal is to help you understand things really well, not necessarily to get through all the content. I'd like to get through it all, but my goal is if you take the AP exams come May, you're going to have a really good chance to succeed. And that's not going to happen if we proceed at a pace, especially remotely, and don't give you enough support. So, things that are really important to me as a course, this is a one-off course in the district. And I think it's really neat. I've had a lot of good students take it with interesting personalities, and they mesh really well. So usually it's a small cohort. And especially this year, if we start hybrid, where we're going to have half the class at a time in the rooms, then it's going to seem like there's not that much interaction. So I want to do everything I can to help you interact as much as possible. Things I value as a teacher are your ability to question and analyze topics, including complex topics, your willingness to test new ideas. I really value a variety of different abilities in class. Not just the students who get things right away, not the students who struggle all the time. A lot of times I like the variety because it helps us learn better as a class. So we all have something to bring toward the class. I like when students take risks, when they feel confident enough in themselves that they're okay with making mistakes and learning from those. So I value thoughtful group work, and I value building understanding as a group, especially through discussion. And that might be tough with the class as a hybrid model, or if we're online. But I'm looking into ways to do that. I really value students helping each other, but not just telling each other something. My goal for you is to have a good understanding of something, and that usually doesn't help when I just tell you something without an explanation or to try to increase your understanding, and that's true when students talk to other students as well. So helping is really, really valued. My goal is that each of you would be able to figure out things in your brain to make sense of them. So sense making and being able to come up with your own explanations that are consistent with the physics we understand is pretty important. And those explanations may not be identical for each person. And finally, I really value students who reflect upon their work and my work, and we give each other a lot of feedback to help make things go well. So those are things I value. Things I believe in is I believe that learning is both an individual and a collaborative process. Oftentimes the best learning happens when you work with other people and can bounce ideas off of other people. But then again, at some point, you've got to internalize that and make it your own. And that's unique to each person. So it's kind of weird that you really need to be collaborative in science as well as have individual ideas of how to process some of the content and understanding. Hearing multiple voices is useful for you to develop that deep understanding, multiple ideas. I believe that learning happens by trying and making mistakes and learning again, learning better. So if you're not confident or comfortable making mistakes, it's going to mean we won't learn as much as a class, and you won't learn as much as a people. As a person, I make mistakes all the time, and I'm not joking about that. I really do. I think I said in an earlier part of the video, I worked in a lab for 20 years. They didn't punish me for making mistakes for things I didn't understand. They wanted me to learn from those and do a better job. So that's great. I'm going to introduce you to the last part of the video by just saying that my role as a teacher, I do think as a facilitator to help you learn. So it's not just to present content. It's not to quickly see whether you've memorized something. It's to help you grow as students and facilitate your understanding of the world around you. Personally, I've been interested in the world around me since I was a little kid. My dad was a geologist. He worked for the natural gas company, exploring places to get new natural gas fields. I've got two sisters. One of them lives in Florida outside of Fort Lauderdale. She's a swim coach and a yoga instructor right now. I'm the youngest of the three, so I'm the baby. And My other sister lives in Canada, just outside of Detroit, and she works in Detroit. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it's been really hard to see either of them. Normally, in spring break, I go down and see my sister in Florida, which is wonderful. In the summer, I go up and visit my sister in Canada. They live just off of like steps from the Detroit River, which is actually very clean and beautiful, and opens up to Lake Erie. So they're not in Detroit; they're not that close to it. They're really close to Lake Erie, and she in Canada is not allowed to visit me, and I'm not allowed to go up and visit her. So that's made it tough. Um, for me to do well as a person academically, I've got to take breaks from time to time. So one of the things I really like doing is getting outside. Actually, all three of us, both my sisters and I, like that. And then in the summer, I do a lot of biking. So the last part of this video is just going to be a short clip of me on a bike ride from earlier this summer. Thanks, and like I say, I look forward to really having you in class this year. Hi. Well, one of the things I really like to do in the summer is get out and ride my bike. And I am all sweaty now. Goal I have every year is to ride at least 1 mile on a ride in a day, older than I am. So I turned 52 last year, and this year, today, I'm about at 55 miles. So that's the first time this year, 2020, I've done that. I really like getting outside. It's beautiful. This route is actually by Reynoldsburg's Summit High School, but I go all over the place. If you ever see a red bike like that, give me some room and know that that's my happy place in the summertime. Thanks.